What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Virzi Effect podcast show. My name is Paul Virzi, and you guys are listening to episode 444. And today I have a guest who is very far away. He's a friend. He's actually become a good friend and one of my favorite comedians and guys in this business. He has an unbelievable Netflix special out right now. He's also a senior correspondent of The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. This guy came to the United States and started kicking ass. And we recently just did the 8th annual Patrice O'Neill benefit together at the New York City Center on January 27th. And then the shit hit the fan. He's on the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Ronny Chieng. Ronny, thank you for being on the Virzi Effect.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
No worries, man. So you're all the way right now doing this from Australia. Now, let me get this straight. You are lived in Australia for a long time before New York, right?
Yeah, I lived in Australia for like 10 years, and I went to college here. I went to law school here. That's why I came here. I met my wife here. I started doing stand-up comedy here. So, I don't know I don't know what the equivalent would be for you. I guess it would be like, I don't know, going somewhere for college and then, starting doing stand-up comedy in that city. So that's what it feels like.
Yeah. Okay, so you went somewhere, basically stayed and started your life there, and that's basically, okay.
Yeah. I was here for a long time, and Australia was always really good to me with my comedy career, and when I'm here, it feels like home.
Yeah, well,
very familiar with it.
Yeah, I remember I met you at New York Comedy Club when you first came out.
Yeah.
Our mutual friend, Bill Burr, who Bill loves you and always was talking about how funny you were. And then you came up to me and we kind of met that way. And then not too long after you got to New York, you got the Daily Show gig, right?
No, I moved to New York for the show. So I got hired and then
Oh, so smart. So you came with your shit together. You were prepared.
Yeah, but you know what? I was gonna move there anyway. And I laugh. I look back and laugh at how naive I was that I thought that I could just move to New York and possibly do comedy. It's so hard to do comedy in New York, man. Like, honestly, respect to anyone who does comedy in New York, but especially if you came up through the open mic scene in New York City. Oh my God. That is brutal. That open mic scene in New York is, in some ways it's good because there's a lot of stage time you can get, but I'm lucky that I managed to kind of have a lateral transfer in my comedy career moving to New York. I mean, most comics who move to New York City don't. They got to start from the bottom again, and I would go to, when I first moved to New York, I would go to open mics, one or two open mics that my friends had would frequent, and I would go, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so brutal. Like, I actually believe that if you do the New York open mic scene for too long, it actually could make you a worse comic.
Not only do I agree with that, but I want to tell you, I actually tell young comedians, and some people looked at me sideways. I tell young comedians to not do them. And here's why. I think if you need stage time, you obviously, eventually you're going to have to. Yeah. But going to a room with 14 comedians that are also new and they have notebooks and they're just sitting there looking at you and you're not getting real feedback. I always felt like, go to a room in Jersey, like the Stress Factory, try to do a feature, like a guest spot if you have a friend, and I know it's hard sometimes to do that, but if you can get on a stage, 200 people, 150 people, even if they're like, hey, we're only giving you 5 minutes, I always felt trying the jokes there was way more. Now, and I know it's hard. I know it's hard to do that, but and sometimes these guys have no choice but to be up at 5:30 in the afternoon in a shitty place. But I agree with you. Don't do it too much. Don't do it too much.
Don't do it too much. And also, like, part of, I feel like sometimes comics are like, they ignore the politics of the industry. I call it politics, but it's like, part of the job is knowing how to get into the better rooms. It's hard. Like you said, it's hard to play at the Stress Factory, but knowing how to get in there is part of the process. It's part of the job, you know, like knowing
Yeah,
how to
a
be
lot of people.
professional and deal with people and show up and take opportunities, you know, like it's.
That's a such a smart way to look at it. And a lot of people don't look at it like that. A lot of people don't understand. Like, let's take our friend Bill Burr, for example. You know, I've opened for Bill for a long time. I know you've been around Bill. What people don't understand about Bill is, as great as Bill is on stage, when you watch him deal with people and in the business, that's a big part of it. And
Yeah.
you know, I remember one time I said, hey, man, I'm really sorry, you know, to bother you, but you mentioned one time, and this is not just to Bill, even to other comics.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you mentioned one time you thought I was funny, and I appreciate it. You gave me nice, kind words at a club. Listen, if you'd ever need an opener, I'd love to, you know, and I always feel bad. And then it's like, no,
Yeah.
that's part of the job. That's sales. It's knocking doors, man, because you know what? If one of those guys go, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
My feature dropped out. I'm going to go to the Stress Factory next week. I'll give you a shot. That's a life changer for a young comedian.
Yeah, for sure. You know, yeah. So it's part of the skill, and I think it, you know, this isn't limited to America or New York City at all. Even in Australia, it's the same thing. People, you know, you know, in the community, you see a lot of complaints of like, why are there, why are these people like making the booking so hard, and you know, and it was like, not like getting the booking is part of the skill.
Yes.
And yeah, it sucks, man, and you don't always get the booking, and sometimes people have agendas, you know. It's not utopia out there, but like getting the booking is part of what this is. And I guess people feel like because we don't work in an office place, there shouldn't be office politics, but it's like this is a job just like anything else, and in any industry job, there's politics, you know, and like knowing how to navigate that.
Exactly right. It's like you have to somewhat deal with, you know, owners that are pain in the asses, bookers that are pain in the asses, comedians that could be nice to your face, but you know that they're trying to get ahead, and that's just you know, you did something I noticed that I really admired, and I thought, I was like, this guy's a pro. And it was no no, when we were at the City Center for the Patrice thing, let's be honest, I mean, that was basically a Montreal gala of Montreal. Right? I mean, it was like there was no break. I'm looking at the lineup right now, and it says Bill Burr, Ronny Chieng, Judy Gold, Sam Morril, Andrew Schultz, Cypher Sounds, Rich Voss, Paul Virzi, Roy Wood Jr., and not to mention just some guy named Louis C.K. showed up. So
heavy hitters,
heavy hitters, and they weren't staying in the green room when the show started. Everybody went down by the stage, and I noticed that. And you just had this. You went on middle towards later. I would say almost 3/4 of the show, and you just had this thing where I noticed where you were just like smiling, nice to everybody, respectful. And then when you were like one or two people away, you locked in, but you just stayed very like, I was just like, this guy is a pro. And I don't know, how long have you been doing it total?
Oh, damn. Thanks, man. Yeah, not that long. Like I started in March 2009. So I'm 10, 11 years. Maybe.
So you're 10, 11 years, and you were walking around, I remember, with the poise of like a 15, 20-year vet. And and I was just like, oh, this guy's a killer. And by the way, man, let's get into this for a second. Was it Asian comedian destroys America? Is that
thanks.
Yeah. That is just, I mean, everything hit. Everything was great. Your presence, I thought it was, honestly, man, and I'm not just saying this because I've had people on here where I won't mention some of this. No, but I'll be like, hey, man, you're doing good. But no, man, you really, it was really awesome, man. I thought it was great. Man. Really funny, man.
Yeah, thanks so much. I mean, yeah, I think part of it is like what you said, man. I'm as starstruck as anybody. I'm at the thing like, how are we in New York City at this? It's such a that Patrice O'Neal benefit is becoming such a like New York comedy institution. You know, it's almost
it's a
like
monumental gig.
Yeah, it's almost like the All-Star game. You know, they call it. I mean, I it sounds dumb for me to say that because I got to perform there, but you know, I don't pat myself on the back too much about it. But just watching it over the years, even when I wasn't involved, it's like, man, it's a real kind of like comedy lovers thing. You know, it kind of like it feels like it's for the comics, it's for the fans. It's not about the bloggers or the industry or anything like that. You know, and it feels really real, and
Yeah.
I think New York is sometimes it can lack those real events, those authentic
Yeah.
New York events, and this one felt like a real authentic New York night. And I'm there. I'm as starstruck as anybody, but my whole thing was whether it was working with Bill Burr in Australia and getting to open for Chappelle in Australia. It was always like, yeah, you gotta be professional. You can't be the fanboy. You have to,
Right.
you have to, you can't be up there taking photos and disturbing these people. It's just not, it's not cool. Like, just handle your business and yeah.
Absolutely. No.
Yeah. So, and to be honest, I was funny because I was just like, fuck, man, I don't want to eat shit in front of all my comedy heroes. So you call me poised. I was actually in my own head just trying to figure out, okay, make sure I do this bit. I was just in my own head with the set. So it wasn't poised at all. It was.
But here's the thing. We all were like, the funny thing was Burr had to follow everything, and he walked by and he goes, man, this is a lot to follow. And like Louis was on Killing, gets a standing ovation. And then, for Burr to even go, for Bill to be like, so I think what it is, yes, we're all professional and we're all poised on the outside, but in our minds, we're like, hey, this is a Patrice O'Neal benefit and I can't shit the bed right now.
Yeah, I don't want to shit the bed in front of all these people I admire. Everyone on the lineup.
That's right.
Boss and everybody.
No, it really was a special night. And the fact that it was a Monday, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah.
It's a Monday
beautiful
night.
Theater, sold out to the gills, packed to the gills.
Sold out, any joke. And what I love about the Patrice O'Neal benefit, rest his soul, what I love about that is that those fans are just all about stand-up, and any joke that was either off-color, edgy, it was like they invited it more, and it was like it felt like real comedy fans as opposed to, we've all been to clubs where you say something and people pull back. But I want to ask you a question, because you're very international as far as where you've been. You've been all over the world doing this and different, continents and countries and everything. In Australia, because I had fans come out to see me at the DC Improv, and they were Australian. Yeah. And then I noticed this thing. Every time Australian audience members saw me, they would come up to me and they loved me and they would, you got to come to Australia. Is the Australian comedy, I guess, community or crowd out there, what would you say the differences to America would be out there?
It's so just like America, there's different types of audiences here. The one that gets the most attention is the comedy festival crowd, and so that crowd, we call it a comedy festival show. You would call it like a one-man show. And that's the type of comedy show they're used to. So they do like festivals here. They do comedy festivals. Yeah. Where you do like 1 hour a night, every night for like 30 days. That's the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. That's how I kind of came up, was doing that festival.
You do an hour a night, 30 days straight?
Yeah. I mean, the first year you'll do like a 5-minute set, and then year 2 you do like a 20-minute set, but then by year 3 you're doing like you're supposed to do like an hour. That's like the normal trajectory in Australia. You do like an hour, and then the next year you have to do like a new hour. Every year you got to do like, so that's kind of the comedy tradition here. And so that's why Australian comics, not all of them obviously, but if you want to talk about generalities, like they're kind of longer storytellers. They can be a little bit more indulgent. They can also be super funny because you can tell a longer story, so that's the style here. So the American guys would come in, and because American comics, especially the New York guys, are so punchy, just like bam, 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 bam. And so they kind of just blow everyone away, because they're pros, they're super funny, the sense of humor is like that, it's super punchy. Also, they're kind of performing, they might be performing as someone who is, he's doing like a 20-minute part of his 1 hour story, and it doesn't quite fit in a club, so like, I mean, if you come out, first of all, I mean, you would definitely, I was going to say this before the podcast even started, was that you definitely got to come to Australia, man. They will love you here.
No, I love the people. I'm not just saying this. I love the people there. The people there are really nice. But it's funny you said that, because when I toured with Burr in Europe and when I was in Germany, they would watch a bit like they were watching a scene of a movie. Right? And then when it was done, then you would clap, but you don't know if you're, but you don't know if you're bombing. Because I'm going because I'm like, this is about a 3-minute piece. These people fucking hate me. And then all of a sudden they start clapping, and I'm like, oh, it's just different. And we went to Latvia, where comedy was only 8 years old, stand up. So like we went to some places that not even a decade. So they were coming out like they were going to a Broadway show. They were overdressed. They were watching you kind of like, and I'm going like, now let me ask you this: what's the difference in bombing out there?
Oh, in Australia, dude. I mean, Australia is it's a pretty mature comedy market. I would say, like, they get it. You know, they get what's up. They get stand-up comedy. They get how you're supposed to behave. They also know how to disrupt the show. You know, these guys, like, Australia's, it can be like America. You know, you get a drunk crowd they have some unhappy thing going on in their life. They take out on you or whatever. You know, it's pretty similar. I mean, I guess it's kind of similar to the UK crowd like that. You know, there's like these two stratospheres of Australian comedy, and one is like that highbrow festival show comedy as a high art form, and we're doing one-man shows, and these one-man shows can be great, you know, spectacular, super funny, meaningful, and narrative. And then you have the other crowd, which is like, yo, we're in the pub, we just want to drink and hear some dick jokes, and then don't tell us about your freaking depression, like fucking just hit us, you know, roast us, you know, that kind of like. So just like in America, you know, they got both sides. I mean, I will say that Australia also, they love, especially if you're not white, man, you know, they love it when you come, as long as they know you're leaving, you know. So really? They got a little bit in them. Yeah, they got a little bit. Yeah, that's
Australia,
yeah, you know, they got a little bit of it.
They got a little.
Yeah, and they'll never, they might not admit it. Oh, I mean, maybe they'll admit it, but you know, it's there, man. It's undeniable.
I love how you don't say it. You just go, they got a little bit of it.
Yeah. They got a little bit of it. I mean, I was here for 10 years. It's undeniable. They have a little bit of that, you know, that like stay in your lane. Don't, if you're not white, don't. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question about this, okay? Because I heard some things today about how, you know, the Asian community, Asian Americans are getting, you know, obviously dirty looks during this. During this pandemic. Have you experienced anything like that or no?
I've been very lucky that I was in Australia when the pandemic hit. I didn't flee New York. Because I was trying to earn my New Yorker badge. I feel like if you live through this now, it's like, right now you're a New Yorker, like no one.
If you stay through it, you're a New Yorker.
Yeah, so I wanted to earn my Scouts badge, but I actually came here for work, and I was here right when everything started hitting, you know, when things started going crazy. So I've been here since, basically self-isolating with my wife, and so I haven't had a chance to kind of be in society and have someone spit on me yet. So I don't know how bad. I personally haven't seen anything, but that's only because I've been in Australia since this thing kind of started. And you know, New York before, New York, it's tough, man. It's like a city. This isn't my joke. I can't remember who did this. Michael Costa told me about this joke, and it's not his joke either, but I'm trying to trace the source of it. But he just said, like, if you're going to be racist in New York, you're going to be exhausted. Because it's like every street corner. It's
I think I heard that. I'm trying to think who said it, but yeah, it's like New York is such a melting pot. You can't be.
Yeah, like how can you? And you know, it's sometimes you meet a crazy person on the street, you know, and is that racism or is that just craziness? You know, even if he's saying racist stuff, it's like, well, he's a homeless crazy person on the street. Like, is that
right? Yeah,
it is technically racism, but it's one of those ones where you're like, you gotta let this one slide, because he's not, like, you know, he's clearly got his own issues. He's not in a position of power. He's, you know,
right.
So
it's a mental issue. Yeah,
right. So there's that too, is what I'm trying to say, you know. But I've been following the news and talking to my friends back in New York, and everyone has told me they've had every Asian friend I know has had at least one, you know, like incident in the
Really?
last couple of weeks. Yeah, and it could be minor. It could be just
Sure.
it could be just like a dirty look. It could be a
Yeah.
like get the fuck out. Go back to China. Just like a verbal thing.
Yeah.
Not a big altercation. But everyone told me that they have at least one. So I think something's happening, and I'm kind of apprehensive of going back to New York and having to see it for myself, because I don't want to live like that, man. It sucks. It fucking sucks. It
Yeah, no,
sucks to be like that.
it does suck. But here's one thing that I did say on a podcast. I just go and somebody goes, whoa, Virzi, we're live. Don't say that. And I go, listen, I'm not going to say anything racist against Asians or anybody, but I was like, they do eat some shit in that. Like I saw and I like, I didn't know like snake. I didn't realize that like snake was a thing. Eating snake is that's a thing.
I mean, okay. I will say in Hong Kong, they eat like snake porridge, But here's the thing about this eating a whatever thing, it's that it's like that it's not part of most Chinese culture. Like if you take Chinese people as a monolith, which you shouldn't in the first place, but all Chinese people, like the percentage of people who are eating anything other than the traditional animals that are allowed, the five animals which we are like, okay, it's okay to fucking kill and eat these things. Honestly, it'll be like less than 1%. Like it's not part of Chinese culture to, like, I've never seen it. My parents have never seen it. But no one I know has. I've never even seen where you would buy some of this stuff. You know what I mean? So that's why it's kind of shitty, because it's like you're kind of, yes, like I'm assuming less than 1%. I don't like it could be even less than 1%. So
you're discriminating. What you're doing is you're discriminating against a race of people because a tiny portion eat this. Eat these, have these delicacies or whatever it is.
Yeah,
and
it's like a micro.
It does suck.
It's like a micro minority, because I didn't grow with that. I'm not even from America, like I'm from Asia, and even we are like, what the fuck is this shit? So we get pissed off by it as well. So that's why it sucks. It's like, yo, we're with you, man. Like this is fucking bullshit. And then even worse is the Asian Americans, because Asian Americans, especially the second generation, third generation, for them, they're like, what the fuck, man? Like we have completely nothing to do with that, So
you know what? It reminded me of a joke. Oh my God, who did it? I don't want to. Oh man, it might be Tony Rock, but it might be Tony Rock, who's hilarious, by the way. But
I love how we're so conscious of like making sure we get the sources right, because
I know it's hilarious. I don't want to fuck this up, but it was a black comic, and he was looking at a crime on TV, and he's just going, please don't be black, please don't be black, please don't be black. And he's and then when it's somebody else, he's like, yes. But you're right. You're right, because I'm sure that a lot of Asian people look at this and you're going, damn it, man. Like that's not all. That's it sucks.
Yeah, it sucks because it's not all of us, and so I think that's one thing to I hope people understand is like, man, it's really like it's not part of Asian culture. There's so many different types of Asians. First of all, like I don't think people in America realize how many types of Asians there are. Like there's Thai, Laotian, Burmese, Indonesian, Filipino. Then you have like Chinese Filipino, Chinese Indonesian. I'm from Malaysia. We got Malay people, Chinese people. You got people from Hong Kong, people from Taiwan, Japan, Korea. Like there's different types of Asian people, completely different. So that's one. And then two, even if you just say Chinese people, like it's not part of Chinese culture to do that bullshit. It's just like a micro minority of assholes somewhere doing this thing, and we all kind of get painted with it. And it's, as a Chinese person, it's like, it's hard to, because you don't want to turn your back on other Chinese people and be like, fuck man, fuck them up, don't fuck us up. But so you have to have some solidarity. But honestly, it's not part of Chinese. It's not part of Chinese culture to do it. It's
funny. You don't want to be like, no, it's them. Yeah.
You don't want to play that game. Like even during 9/11, like the Sinks, the guys who wear the turban, people thought they were ignorant people were like, you're brown, you're Muslim, because you're not obviously you're not Christian, so you must be Muslim. And
Yeah.
that community, instead of going, guys, we're not Muslims, those guys are Muslims, go beat them up, they were like, nah man, you shouldn't be, it doesn't matter if you're a Muslim or not,
Yeah.
so get some
Yeah.
solidarity with it. And I don't know, it just sucks. And then the other aspect of it is like, if you really think that Asian people have this virus, you wouldn't come to talk to me on the street. You wouldn't, you get the fuck away from me. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
if, like, what are you gonna do? Come up and like beat the virus out of me? Or like, if you
Right.
really think I had the virus, you'd stay the fuck away from me. So
Right.
you coming up to me is obviously not about the virus, it's about something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's about
No,
some other shit.
it's about some other shit for sure.
Yeah, it's some other shit, man.
So I wanted to ask you, what's it like in Australia compared to the States as far as like the lockdown? So I'm sure you heard, like here we can go out. You got to have a mask. You could go obviously pick up essentials. Yeah. There are certain stores that you can go, either like a home improvement store, food, beverage store. Yeah. And you're not really frowned upon if you do that, if you have a mask. Is it the same out there? Or like, can you and your wife go for walks and stuff?
Yeah. So you're born and raised New Yorker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here in Australia, it's it's pretty chill. They kind of handled it pretty well. The shops are closed. Everything's in lockdown, but you can still, go grocery shopping. I would say 40% of the restaurants are open for takeaway.
Okay.
No restaurants are open for eating
to
in.
sit in. No.
Yeah, but here's a main difference in philosophy between America and Australia is that Australia is actually very socialist. It's actually a very socialist country. Like historically, they've had free healthcare and free education forever, and so they have this, and obviously social welfare as well. If you're not working and need help, so they have this philosophy of like taking care of people. Like if the government will and should take care of people. In America, it's like, man, it's like the Wild West, man. Like there's no safety net. You can make it big or you can fall through the cracks. And there's no, there is no here that I got tested. I walked 10 minutes. I got tested when I got here. Like,
oh wow!
I got
to walk right up.
Yeah, I walked right up, and granted, it was because I met the criteria because I was coughing a lot and I just came from overseas. So it wasn't like they're not just going to test everyone, but if you have symptoms and if you just came from another country, they're going to test you. But yeah, I just walked 10 minutes. They tested me. They emailed me the results in 3 days.
Was it like a big line? Big line to
no,
do it?
not at all. Not at all. In fact, it was empty because they were telling everyone to, like, if you're sick, don't fucking come in, stay at the door, and then we'll, So it was easy, man. I think that's the main difference between the way they run the countries in Australia and in America. And I think Americans, I feel like you guys don't even care about. You don't even find it weird that healthcare is insane and doesn't make any sense and costs a lot of money. It's not strange to you. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, I think because our whole lives, I think it's been like, so the way your grandparents, and it's almost like this pride thing that they like, well, we worked and we got benefits and we did this. Right. It's a weird, it's like, it's just kind of been the way that it is. Right. So then your parents are like, oh, you get a job that has medical benefits. Right. And so it's always, it's funny. It's like, it's funny that you say that, because when you grow up in a country like Australia or Canada, when it's universal, you don't even think about it. Yeah. And then now, and you know what? It's funny.
Or Singapore. Singapore. Before I lived in Australia, I lived in Singapore. Same thing,
Same thing. Yeah. So we just have this thing of like, and it's weird. It's like, you're right. It's like, why don't we even think, like, I would love to just be able to, as long as everybody gets good health care, why not?
Yeah. And it's so weird that healthcare and even the way we respond to this virus in America is so highly politicized. Yeah. It's not like in Singapore and in Australia, as far as I can tell, I could be wrong, but in Singapore, it's very much like, we're going to go with science-based decisions. The doctors, the experts say we need to wait this long. you know, and then the economists say that this is how we can kickstart afterwards. Like everyone's kind of working together. But in America, it's almost like if you're right wing, fucking let's bring the virus on, let's just get it. If you're left wing, it's like, okay, we're gonna stay. Oh, you know, like
Yeah.
how is this a political issue? It's so crazy.
It's so crazy. That's something that people are going like, yeah, and you know, these women are like, it's my body, I'm not wearing a mask, and it's like that's not even so you're trying to be you're trying to go doing the abortion thing, the opposite. And you're like, but you can kill somebody who's 75 years or older with a immune deficiency, or somebody that has some underlying thing. So I mean, listen, I think people in New York, because I know people upstate and I know people in the country further away, kind of downplaying this. And I even got into it with a couple of family members where I'm going, guys, in a densely populated area like New York City, like I have friends on fucking ventilators. I have friends who are in ICU. They're stacking bodies in Queens, you know, and so yes, it is real, but these places where it's not happening or they have 40 cases, they're looking at it like, and I was telling people, everybody keeps saying that this is the flu, it's the flu. Here's the thing. The flu has never flooded hospitals at this rate because this is a virus that you can have for 5 days to 10, 15 days without knowing it. And during that whole time you spread it. But when you get into it with people like that, it's like, you're not gonna, you know, it's the same thing as when you talk to somebody who's really overly, you know, either racist or bigot, or somebody that, you know, is one way, right wing, or even far left wing. You're not going to win. But my wife and I, and this is what happened, where I realized that, you know what, man, nobody is immune to debt like this shit. And here's how I know. You're not going to live forever. Me and my wife I told you, me and my wife, we're pretty much told by the doctor that we had it, but we were not able to test because when we lost our senses. So I had some symptoms. I'll give you the short of it because I've talked about it before on podcasts, but I'll give you the short of it.
Yeah.
I was achy, chills, not feeling good, laying in bed. Then 2 days later, I'd come out of it, feel great, but then I would lose energy again. And it was just a weird thing going on. Day 6, I completely lose with zero congestion. My nose, I was breathing fine. I had no congestion in my head. I completely lost my sense of smell and taste. To the point where I would smell, Ronnie, I freaked out. I was spraying Febreze in my face and shit. I was whiskey, nothing.
Wait, did you know that it was a symptom of the virus?
I did.
You just thought you couldn't smell anymore.
So yeah. And what actually Rudy Gobert, the center of the Utah Jazz, put a tweet out, and he goes, guys, give you guys an update, blah, blah, blah. He's saying everything. He goes, but I have not been able to smell or taste for about 4 days. Is anybody experiencing this? So all of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, like things were tasting weird. So I completely lose my smell and taste. 5 days later, my wife completely loses her smell and taste.
Right.
Talked to the doctor, and he said, consistent with my symptoms. And then my wife, who both of us have never had that happen before, and from what he's seeing, usually people 40 years and younger are usually that get that are getting a very mild strand of it, but are coming up positive for COVID-19.
Right.
We know people that lost sense of smell with very, very mild to no symptoms that tested positive for COVID-19. So our doctor says, yeah, it looks like you and your wife have it. Just isolate. There's no reason to test because you're breathing fine. You're not coughing, or there was a very low grade fever, 99. So long story short, we pretty much feel like we had it. What we want to do is take the blood test to find out if we have antibodies. But it just let me know that if me and my wife, who live in the country an hour away, I mean, this was 30 dawe ago, so we're fine. But let you know that, like, yeah, I went out on my wife's birthday on March 14th was the last time we were out. And we were at a Mexican restaurant, pretty busy. I'm pretty sure I got it there. And like, and not even in the city. So this can happen. And I don't look at it like, oh, the government's doing this or I'm just looking at it like, let's let this fucking thing pass so I can get on stage and tell dick jokes again.
Yeah, I know. I know. I mean, I'm hoping that most people can see this as like a natural disaster that happened to people, and not like because of a certain race of people, man. Because it's like the idea that anyone wanted this to happen is ridiculous. You know, like who wanted this to happen?
It's no, yeah, and it's no, like, and even let's just say this though. Let's just say I don't look at it like, yeah, I just look at it like this. I don't care what country it came from, or I don't care if somebody ate something gross. Okay, whatever, however this shit happened, I just want to make sure that it's not politicized and we're doing everything that we can to just do it the quickest and smartest way without arguing with loved ones of what they think.
Yeah.
I'll take it this far. Let's say there was a conspiracy, or let's say somewhere something did happen. If that was the case, you know what I would say, Ronnie? I'd go, okay, whatever that was, let's just get back to, let's fix it. You know, I don't look at it like, oh, this and that. I don't look at it like, I just want it to be done, and I want to be able to go and, make money. I want to, I had an hour ready to go.
Yeah, dude, I had tour. My tour was ready to go. It was selling well. I had to move dates. This fucking sucks, man. It
No,
sucks
you did the special, which killed, and you were out there traveling, and my hour was ready to go, and we were trying to sell it. And all kinds of shit. And now I'm waiting to, you got to wait for everything. So getting off the coronavirus thing, what have you been doing? Like, you're just doing
get off it. I appreciate you trying to move on from this thing. It's just, damn. I mean, I that's something I wanted to ask you as well. Is like, do you think like, can we go, are you concerned that we can't just go back on stage and do the same, hour? Like, does it hold after all this happening? I don't know.
It's funny you say that. I was thinking about certain jokes that I had, and I'm going like, for the most part, like, there's a couple of things that I'm just like, oh man, like, life needs to happen again.
Yeah.
Where everybody's doing some of the same things, because I'm gonna be like, I can't talk about going like a gym.
Yeah, I know.
Or certain things. Yeah.
Yeah, or even the philosophically, like, complaining about anything. You know what I mean? Like, imagine after the when this is over and we finally get back on stage again, and you like complaining about, hey, I was on Twitter and this guy said this, and everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Well, we're free. How can you be complaining about anything anymore? Like, everything just seems like unimportant. Any issue you had, any fight you had with your relatives, like, everything's like, put that shit behind you.
Well, and on, moving on with that point, what I would say, agreeing with that is, I think the political correctness and the oversensitive thing is going to go out the window too.
You do? Oh, this is you calling it? You should do this as a section of calling it.
This is me calling. I think that we're going to have more comedy shows the way that Patrice O'Neal benefit crowd was, as opposed to you got to worry and walk on eggshells if you're talking about this or you're talking about that. Right. I think so. I think that, like, you make a good point, and I agree with it. We were talking about it the other day. If you're going to come out of this like an asshole, like if you come out of this and you still have that angst and you're still just a pretentious, pessimistic dick, then you just are never going to be a happy human being anyway. Is how I look at it. You know what I mean? Like, this should wake you up to go, you know what, man? Like, I'm actually able to walk in a park right now and smell flowers and, throw a Frisbee at a dog and shit. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, little things, right?
Yeah. Just being able to go outside and, I mean, one thing, I had to give a talk to college students recently, as in just 2 days ago. I was doing like a speech for class day, and I was just trying to think of something to tell them, and I was just like, well, I guess now no one can ever call you guys soft ever again. Like, you guys graduated and had to go look for jobs in the worst like recession in the history of humanity, and hopefully this thing makes everyone kind of appreciate everything, like appreciate man, like you said, just walking in Central Park, or like being able to go to get a taco or whatever. New York was awesome, man. New York was so good. Me and my wife we go cycling, we go to like a nice like brunch place, get a coffee, then we cycle another place. Dude, it was like it was living the dream. And the whole time, you know what? The whole time, maybe I should have done this for the Call It. The whole time I was in New York City, I was like, damn, I get to work on a daily show. I get to perform with my comedy heroes at all these comedy clubs in New York. And I get to like walk around the city and experience every part of this awesome city. surely this can't last, right? Like this has to come crashing down at some point. This is
It's
way
all,
too good. It's way, and then it fucking came crashing down.
you know, it's yeah. Poor Ronnie with the special. I hear you, man. Like I said, we were shopping my hour.
Yeah.
Here's a crazy thing, though, man. Like, I realized too, like the appreciation I have. I posted something on Facebook and Instagram today of me in the round at MSG opening for Burr, and it was 18.
I was there at that show, by the way. I watched it. You killed it.
Oh,
yeah, you killed it.
It was one of the best nights of my life, and I'm just looking at the picture and I'm looking at the iconic ceiling, and I'm going like, we did some really cool shit, right? And I looked at it like this: if God forbid, let's just say like it all ended, and like we just all had to live in our houses for the rest of, you know, and just get food delivery and do Zooms to make money. Like, I was like, we did some really, really cool shit. But when this is over, it's going to make me, you know what I miss? I go to this deli by my house, and it's always empty because I'm on comedian hours. So my breakfast is 10:30, right? Yeah. And I get the paper, and I get my iced tea or coffee, and I read the sports section, and I'm just eating my eggs, and I'm alone. And it's just the simplest, greatest thing. And I miss that shit so much. I miss it
so much, yeah.
And I'm just like, you know, but I will tell you this, having a wife and 2 kids and being able to be with them all the time, it's actually not as some people are like, oh, are you guys going crazy? I got to be honest. So many nights I left. So many nights I get in the car, I go to the city. So many, you know, days I'm like, Daddy's going to the airport. I'm going to Milwaukee from Thursday to Sunday. Now, every day I can be with my son or daughter, and I don't think that this will happen again in our lifetime. So I do appreciate that. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely not just having to stay home, but it was a break in work. Everything that work-wise stopped, right? When I mean, now it's kind of starting back up a little bit, or people are adapting and trying to find jobs when they can. But remember when this first hit, it was like everything you had planned in your schedule stopped because no one knew how to do that stuff anymore. So it wasn't just staying at home. It was staying at home with an empty schedule. And it was crazy, right? We didn't know what to do with ourselves. We're so used to go. Like, you know, I don't know about I feel like all comedians, especially when you're at the professional level in New York, it's just go. It's go all day and night, you know. Daytime you're working. I mean, you wake up late, but you're working on whatever deal, you're writing material, whatever. At night you're running around the city doing gigs, you come back. So it's always go. And suddenly it was like, stop. Right? And how like, and it's one of those things which we keep telling ourselves we got to do. And it's very hard to actually have the opportunity to do it, you know? So it was, I agree with you. It was a cool moment. It was like a nice writing retreat. You know, I'm here with my wife. We went for walks. Man, you know.
I got to tell this story because we have a few minutes left, but this is such a great story, and I want them to. And by the way, this is so great, man. Thank you for doing this.
No, I wish we could be, you know, talking in person.
We will, man. We're gonna have a cigar and a scotch soon. Yeah. But I want to tell the listeners, this is what kind of nice guy Ronnie is. I went to go to Marcus Russell Photo Studio, and I get there, and my manager's there, and they're going to do an interview, whatever, about Marcus Russell, who's great, a great photographer. Yeah. And Ronnie is sitting on, this is true story. Ronnie, his wife is over to the side, and he's sitting on the ground with no shoes on, and he's got his feet up in the air, and he's doing all this shit. And I'm going like, I walked in, and I go, what's going on? And he goes, you know, I'm trying to, you know, we're selling these socks. We're taking a picture of these socks. And at first I thought you were fucking with me. And I was like, socks. And then I realized you have these amazing socks. And the whole time you were going, I'm sorry, man, we're just going to do like, I'll get out of here. And I'm going, no, that's fine. Keep doing your pictures. And Marcus is taking pictures. And Ronnie just kept looking over going, I'm so sorry. Like, we're going to get out of here. I don't want to get into your time. And you were doing something that you obviously needed to do, was productive for you. And you were nice enough to be like, let me get out of here. And I was like, that's the type of guy that you are, man. And like people, no, you're a good dude. Listen, man, a lot of guys would have just been like, you know, posing their feet for another hour. And you were like, no, man, I appreciate
No, it was are you kidding me? I mean, that was your time. It was your booking. I was piggybacking on your studio booking.
Oh, it's all good. That's hilarious, though. I love it.
I appreciate it, man.
How's the socks going, by the way?
I actually get some orders now, and then I had to email them and say, hey, listen, there's no way I can fulfill these orders. I just refunded their money. And people actually got pissed off. Like, yo, don't refund my money. Just keep the money and then send it to me when you're able to. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't know when I'm able to send it. So I just figure people need their money right now. I just refunded it. So sock sales, not so good right now.
Are you gonna do stand up in Malaysia?
Yeah, I've done it. Yeah, I've done. I usually tour Malaysia every 2 years. I'll go do a show there. I just did a show there last November.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you had a whole thing lined up, international tour.
Yeah. But for this tour, I mean, yeah, my thing is that I try to focus on America right now because I moved there. But I tour. My usual tour is Singapore, Malaysia, and all of Australia. Every 2 years, I'll just do that tour, and that was my fan base before I moved to America. So I was just going to do
so
that.
you go back and do that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. I was listening to you before I even met you. I was listening to you on the Bill Burr podcast. You were killing it. Yeah. It was either the Virzi effect or I mean, I definitely must have heard you on the Bill Burr podcast, and then I followed you onto the Virzi effect. And
Okay.
there was just one time you were doing this really funny story about like if you went back in time, you would bring Uzis, and then Bill was like, "You're gonna run out of bullets," and then the second you fall asleep, they're gonna take it from you and shoot.
Oh, do you know that everybody talks about that podcast still? Because it said if you could go back in time, the question was if you could go back in time before the 1900s, like where would you go and what would you do? And I said I would go to some conflict with like an Uzi or a gun, and I would just kill everybody quickly. And Bill goes, they would kill you. They would think you were a witch. And the line that everybody loved was when he goes, look what they did to Jesus. And I go, Jesus didn't have a gun. And people, it's funny that you remember that because people to this day always talk about the Time Machine episode. But
it was killer.
No, dude, this is and then the last time me, you, and Bill hung out, we were at the what is it called? The place that's like a library where you smoke cigars.
So, Hudson Bar and Books.
Hudson Bar and Books. We were drinking whiskey, smoking cigars on that night that was raining.
Yeah.
And that was the best, man.
Yeah, it was the best, man. Those are you making me? Oh man, I really miss that. It was cool because you guys asked me out because I casually mentioned to you guys once that my favorite spot was Hudson Bar and Books.
Yes.
And then you guys always go to Soho Cigar Bar. And
yes.
It was closed that day for renovation. And then you guys asked me where the other place was, and then we all linked up. So it was nice.
And then after we left and we split up. I went to go get my car at a parking garage and didn't realize that I parked at a place that wasn't 24 hours. So I was locked out in a rainstorm. And luckily, Burr was staying in Midtown, and I ended up calling him and staying with him. I couldn't get my car till the next day.
I didn't know that happened. And you stay like 45-minute drive away?
I'm about like 50 to an hour up north of the city, up in northern Westchester.
Right.
So it's nice because we have a lot of land up here. It's
No, you showed me photos. You got fire pit. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now you have your own studio. Man.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I did. And you know what? Andrew Schulz said something on his podcast, and he was really right. He goes, "There's no excuses," and I really believe this statement. There's no excuses during this time to not do the things that you wanted to do. And he was talking about that. And he's right. It's like, if there was a screenplay you wanted to write, you write the screenplay. If there was something that you wanted to achieve that was away from the stage, and now you have that opportunity. So like me and my wife, the two things with the house is in great shape, but the two things was the garage and a shed. It was just too much storage. We needed to clear it out. Guess what? Done. Then exactly. I had this room, and I was like, I really wish I had an office or a studio. This room needed so much work. I dedicated 3 weeks to it, and boom, I'm sitting here with you doing it. And it's like, and now I'm going to continue to so when this is over, because there's a bunch of lazy assholes just watching fucking Netflix all night and Hulu. And
yeah, man.
They're getting fat. What's going to be funny is how many people are fat when this is over. Like, and I don't mean like normal people. I mean our friends. Like we're going to show up to the Comedy Cellar or the Stand, and we're going to see somebody that we know and love 60 pounds over. Just zero discipline.
Yeah. Zero. Dude, I've been going the opposite way, man. I've never, I have a daily workout routine now. You know, I get it done every day.
So
I
where are you
hook up my
guys staying?
crew.
Where are you guys staying now? This is not where your house is.
Yeah, we're not staying in a house. We're staying in a hotel in Sydney. Yeah. So
Oh,
I
okay.
was
So
here.
you have access to a gym and stuff there?
No, no, I'm just working out in the, like you said, no excuses, man. Just whatever, you know, get it done. Just doing in the hotel room. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Just
that's
body weight.
nice.
Yeah, yeah. Just do it anyway. In fact, it's something which I think I'll try to keep doing after this thing, you know, this pandemic. It's a nice, like very simple body weight workout, which I'm not that guy, by the way. I'm not like a workout guy. So I got put on this workout. I was looking for some. I was actually Googling prison workouts just because I like how you do a workout like in a prison cell. And then I found this one that was like, actually, I'm like, hey, I could actually do this. It's simple enough. It's just jumping jacks and you know, essentially sit-ups and whatever. You just got,
And
you know.
do you see improvement with that?
Yeah, yeah, man. You can, I like can tell getting stronger for sure. You know,
That's
so just,
awesome.
yeah, just 1% every day, man. Just 1%, just 1% better every day.
How is the situation with the wife now? Because here's the thing I'm learning.
Yeah.
They say good marriages. They say good marriages are actually like good in these times. And you know what? My wife and I fought and were at each other's throats so much more before this.
Oh, wow.
And now it's like walk by, hug. You want me to do the dinner? I'll do the dinner. You could take it. I'll help the kid. No, I'll get it. And it's just like this nice thing. And I think because of the, like you were saying before, the hustle and bustle of like, okay, she comes home. Now I got to shoot to the city to do spots. Then she takes care of the kids after work and she's stressed out. And then I don't get home till 1:30 in the morning and I'm tired. Now it's like we kind of have this schedule where we're together and we're like, it's all love. So they say, you know, we're not going to get divorced, which is good.
Yeah, no, me and my wife, we get along great. Yeah, this has honestly been like just the two of us. You know, we forced to not hang out with anyone else, and you know, we'll just spend basically every minute together. We'll go for walks together. So
Do you
yeah,
guys do like games or cards or any kind of?
no, we don't. Yeah, we don't even do that because we actually, yeah, we have different like entertainment interests. You know, I'm like a nerd. I watch like play video games and like watch sports and like whatever. And you know, she'll watch like This Is Us, and I'll like watch This Is Us over her shoulder. Because I can't, you know,
great.
yeah, because you can't admit to liking that stuff, but it's actually very well written and yeah.
Dude,
And
that
then,
is great.
yeah.
Dude, well, listen,
So
man,
we get along really well, but yeah.
Listen, Ronnie, I could sit and talk to you because you're just the best and you're one of my favorites on and off stage. Just such a, and you know, when I bring people on this show, it's not just people that, you know, it's not just people of being funny is a given. You know, it's like I'm going to have funny people on and people that like, you know, do what I like to do and I respect always, but like also want to have like really good dudes. And that's what you are.
Oh, thanks, man. It's like likewise. You've always been super cool to me when I first moved to America. Yeah, so I really appreciate it. When I was first in the city, I didn't know anyone, and been a fan, been following you since the the birth stuff, and super funny, you know, all around.
Man, I appreciate it, and thank you so much for doing this. When this is done and you do get back, we're definitely going to hang cigar and talk about this. Is there anything before we get out of here that you can still plug that is still going on? I mean, as far as nothing murky. I know it's funny. Somebody asked me that on a podcast and I go, I'm in sweatpants for the next 70 days. There's nothing.
Yeah, nothing to plug, but yeah. Other
but
than
check out the special, of course.
Yeah, check out the special on Netflix. But more importantly, I hope everyone listening is, you know, you guys everyone is safe and healthy, and please don't take out your anger on any other race of people. Believe me, we all hate this shit as much as anyone. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I want to plug.
Yeah, check out the special. Asian Comedian Destroys America. By the way, insane name. Who came up with that name? You?
Yeah, so
name.
this is the beauty of collaboration with comics. So I'm sitting outside of the cellar one night and I'm telling the people, because the name of my tour was Tone Issues. That's why I called the tour when I was touring it, just because. Got it. Yeah, it's a reference to a joke in the thing. And so I'm sitting outside the cellar one day and I'm talking to these other comics, and I I'm just saying how Netflix wants me to have a more controversial name, like a clickbaity name, basically. And then one of them suggests comedian destroys heckler, and I'm like, damn, that's really good. And so I actually put him in the credits because he gave me that suggestion. It was
Oh,
damn, oh man, it's killing me right now. He's the Indian guy. Oh fuck. Oh, it's so
oh,
embarrassing. Anyway, I put him in the I put him in the credits of the special, but oh my
yeah.
god.
You know what's funny is I was talking to Andrew Scholes about that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Andrew was like, "Dude, is like Ronnie's title is just so because here's what's beautiful about that. It's like I gotta see this, right? Because it's such an enticing title, and it's so I gotta see this, and then you deliver, and it's funny, and it's like it's dope. So such a great
Oh yeah.
such a great title and special, and I hope everybody listening to the Virzi Effect right now checks it out, and please check
Thanks so
out all
much.
the Ronnie stuff. He's a killer. Like I said, I saw it firsthand. I've seen it multiple times, but at that big theater was amazing. And so, Ronnie, thank you so much. This has been episode TVE 444. It will be out soon. Thank you so much, my brother. I appreciate you being on. I hope you had a good time.
Good to see you, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Take care, buddy. Be safe.
Yeah.
All
Bye.
right.